Please. All right, excellent. Our next storyteller is a Summer Surge staff person, and her answer is, resilience is not simply the ability to overcome your challenges, but also your dedication and willingness to do so. Please welcome Anne Jane King.
So as soon as the door slams, my heart sinks as I realize the only people who looked anything like me have just left the room. I'm 14 years old, and I'm sitting down for my first dorm meeting in my new high school, which happens to be a boarding school in Concord, New Hampshire. The school is 6.5 hours away from my home in New York City. And the dorm parent starts off by asking us, "What did you guys do this summer?" One girl says she went to Spain, another one says she went to France, and someone even says that they volunteered at an orphanage in Ghana. And at that point I realized I come from a very different world. And so when it came to my turn, I said, well, I was at home watching TV in Washington Heights. And that's when I decided that if I was going to be here and fit in, I needed to change some things about myself. And so I did. I changed the way that I dressed and wore khaki pants and a collared shirt and flip-flops. I couldn't afford polos. And every once in a while when I had the nerve, I popped my collar. Quickly checked me on that. I changed the way that I spoke and acted so as not to sound too ghetto and therefore uneducated. And I did well in classes. So I thought I had this game down. I mean, I was doing my thing. I thought I was the epitome of what it meant to be a prep school kid. And so junior year comes along, and I'm walking to the post office, hoping that my mom sent me some mail from home. And in my mailbox, I see that there's a letter, and I open it. And it reads, "Boom, boom, pow, get out of here." And there's a bullseye sign on it. And so, I don't really know what to make of it. I look at the letter to make sure that it's really for me. It says, "No janky, no return sender." And so I don't know what to do with it. And so I do nothing. I hold it back up and I put it into my mailbox and I walk away. So I'm walking back to my dorm when my best friend stops me and says, "Anne, did you get the letter?" And I say, "What are you talking about? Did you get a letter?" And he says, "Yeah, all the Black and Hispanic students got a letter." And I don't know what to do. The thing is that there were only 50 Black and Hispanic students in the school out of 500. And most of us were from cities, and most of us were there on full scholarships. And so the school, there was a huge investigation. They really tried to bring us together to talk about what this meant. But no one wanted to because it had everything to do with race and class. And even I didn't want to talk about it. And so I was sitting with one of the Black administrators there, who I trusted. And I told her I was thinking about leaving because it felt too hard to be there anymore. And she turned to me and said, "Anne, if you leave, I'd understand. But I also want you to know that the higher you climb, the more education you receive, the wider your spaces will become, and the less they will look like the community that you come from. And so if you choose to stay, you will be helping to create a space for us." And so I carried that with me my senior year. And by the time senior year came around, I had become a prefect. I was team captain of the volleyball team. I was a chapel greeter, a tour guide, and I had achieved honors in all of my classes. And it was all because I had kept that letter in mind and what that administrator had said to me. And so even if people didn't want me there, they could never tell me that I didn't deserve to be there. And so I was just trying to get through it. I just wanted to get through graduation and get out of there and move on. So graduation weekend comes along, and the president of the school decides to invite my family to stay at his home, my parents. My dad decides he's going to be the one to stay because my parents aren't together. My mom's going to stay with her side of the family at a hotel. And that night, before graduation weekend, they're all put up, everyone's where they should be, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen tomorrow? The thing about it is that I was worried about my dad. I felt like my mom and her side of the family could blend in, but my dad is a bit of a different story. He doesn't ever look to blend in. And when he walks into a room, he really wants to stand out. The first thing he will always tell me is, Anne, I'm a very proud man. The thing about my dad is that he's been working since he was 15 years old. Both my parents are from a country in South America called Guyana. My mother had grown up on an Amerindian reservation. And so I considered myself poor. And I'd spent 4 years making sure that no one knew that. And so I was afraid that the following day, everyone would know. Because of my dad. And so the first thing I do in the morning is run over to the president's home to check on my dad. And I see him. He's walking with 12 of our trustees over to the chapel. And he's waving to me, Anne, don't worry about me. I'm going to church. Oh, God, Dad. Well, I can't do anything, so. Later that day, he finds me and my mom's family, and we decide we're going to go to the dining hall to eat. And we're walking, and these two older white ladies stop us on the path. They've got their sun hats and their sun dresses, their pearl earrings and pearl necklaces, and they say, "Hi, Sherlock." And he turns to them and says, "One love." And I cringe inside. I can't believe he did that. Later that day, there's another point where graduation weekend is a big deal at my school, or at the boarding school. And they invite everyone who's ever graduated to come in and march, according to the year that you graduated. So we had people from 1934 there in little golf carts because they keep walking more. And at this march, I'm waiting for my form to be called so that I can walk. And 1934 comes along, and of course it was mainly white males at that point. They hadn't started admitting females or people of color. And so I know this, and I can't understand why my dad is one of the folks on the golf cart. And he waves to me. And at that point, I realized that you could come from where I did and be authentic and still be accepted. Thank you.